From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2505, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. First up, Hurricane Melissa. Newsline anchor Stephen Kinford in 8WB.
As the Newsline went to production, Hurricane Melissa was still a developing story in the Caribbean. The Category 5 storm had already done catastrophic damage to parts of Jamaica as it continued its rampage through the region. The Hurricane Watch Net was active on 14.325 megahertz and 7.268 megahertz, and advising all other traffic to avoid those frequencies. The VOIPWX.net was monitoring calls for help and Skywarn weather reports from impacted areas. Many reports came from the Caribbean Digital Amateur Radio Service and other amateur radio stations who relayed information from Jamaican News Radio as well as local ham stations. Newsline will be following amateur response to the storm and its aftermath.
Radio was precious to Orson Welles, the American writer, actor, magician, and filmmaker who is most prominently celebrated at this time of the year for War of the Worlds, his 1938 science fiction broadcast depicting a Martian invasion, a drama so realistic that it incited panic in listeners. War of the Worlds was back on radio recently, but this time it was amateur radio.
The fictional Martians may not have had their antennas tuned, but members of the Delaware Valley Radio Association did, as 16 operators called CQ for several hours in a public park in Grover's Mill, New Jersey, the site where the original broadcast radio drama played out in 1938. This was the club's fourth year hosting the event as station W0W, and it was timed to coincide with the original late October airing. There is a monument in the park honoring that broadcast, which put Grover's Mill on the map, but the ham's activation in the park may have left a lasting impression too. Unlike the invading Martians, the visitors here came in peace. Cyclists participating in the township's Martian bike ride and other members of the public stopped by to get a close-up look at what amateur radio is all about. One young person even got on the air and logged one of the 159 QSOs that were made according to Martin Crabtree, W3PR. Anyone saying, "Take me to your leader," would have been introduced, of course, to Club President Martin. That's Martin, not Martian, who was outfitted appropriately in foil-covered fedora. Other hams wore antenna, but in this case, none of them were tuned for any transmissions except perhaps those from Mars. This is Travis Lisk and 3ILS.
Recognizing industry growth and student demand, a university in northern Washington state has developed a full electrical and computer engineering department on its campus, and it's being chaired by an amateur radio operator.
Starting in the fall of 2026, students at the Western Washington University will be able to enroll in programs in the new Electrical and Computer Engineering Department and to pursue studies in the school's first engineering graduate program. The courses were previously housed within the school's Department of Engineering and Design. The Zero Retries newsletter, which reports the development in its latest edition, said that Janelle Ledger, Dean of the College of Science and Engineering, credited student and industry demand as the primary reasons for the creation of the new department. She said that the move is being made with support from the state to create the degree programs. Majors will select from 4 programs, which include wireless networking and signal processing, as well as AI, electronics, and energy. The professor chairing the new department is Andy Klein. On the university website, the professor writes that having a standalone department will pave the way to creating new partnerships and internships with companies that generate more internships for students. Andy Klein is an amateur radio operator who received the call sign KG7WFT in July. This is George Zafiropoulos, KJ6VU.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Travis Lisk, N3ILS, George Zafiropoulos, KJ6VU, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.